Hello and welcome back to the channel. It's another fine, beautiful, sunny, windy day here in eastern North Carolina. I'm going to use the lavalier mic here and hopefully try to reduce the wind noise, or at least you could hear me better over the wind noise. And blah, 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 blah. You don't care. You're asking, why are we back in the greenhouse? We don't want to see any more talking heads. We want to see action. Or a few of you are. So some of you don't care. So either way, here we are. Today, I'm going to be planting us some dahlias. Now, some of you may be grasping your hearts and having palpitations and just losing your minds in general because, oh my God, it's only April. I have no idea what today is. Hold on. It's only April 20th. I had to check the phone there. It's only April 20th. It's too soon. What are you doing? Again, I'm in growing zone 8A, eastern North Carolina. Our frost's gone. Last night was the closest to a frost we've gotten in weeks, and that only got down to 46. So the only problem I'm going to encounter by putting out some of my dahlias now into the dahlia bed, the new dahlia bed that we made, is the growth may be stunted because the soil is colder. It's probably, I think dahlias, and I'm not an expert, don't quote me on this, please go do your own research or look up some other video. Jeff for Dahliaholic, I've mentioned him before. If I remember, I'll leave a link. If I don't, please remind me in the comments and I'll put a link in. He's in England, and I think he's mentioned, and there's probably a bunch of Americans too I've seen who mentioned that I think you need to be around 65, 70 degree soil temperature. Again, the worst case scenario, the absolute worst thing is the dahlia's going to and then later in the week when we hit 80 and then 85 next week, it's going to go, and it's just going to, it's going to take off. I did this last year. I planted a lot of my dahlias the end of April, I believe. If I'm wrong, correct me. You can go back and watch those videos. I believe it was the end of April, early May, and a lot of them were flowering by the end of May. It was crazy to me. I believe it was the end of May. Either way, they started blooming way earlier than what I've experienced in New York in growing zone 7A. Apologize, 7A. So used to saying 8A. So in New York where I lived, it was growing zone 7A, and you didn't get flowers on your dahlias until at the earliest late August, early September. And then they would flower right up until the first frost, essentially. And again, it has to do with the ground temperature and air temperature and a bunch of other sciencey things that I don't understand. But here in growing zone 8A, yeah, I don't have that problem. Again, next week we'll probably be hitting 85. I know at the end of this weekend, I believe, this Sunday, I think the temperature is going to be 80. So again, we're getting much warmer. We're getting going to be getting into those summer temperatures before you know it. And my growing season here is much, much longer than it was in New York. So I can get away with this. The worst thing that actually happened, or that I noticed that happened to the dahlias last year, because they started flowering so early, they stopped flowering, or the flowering basically petered off by September, October. The plants are still fine, they were still healthy, but they were tired. They've been doing it all summer long. They were just going nuts, some of the varieties. So I'm going to be planting some of them for you. I'm going to show you how I'm going to be planting up into the new dahlia bed that was created. Now, if you've missed that video, I suggest you go back and watch it. Let me show you real quick what I'm dealing with so far as the soil. Some of you may have commented, or maybe it's just one person, I can't remember at this point, I'm getting old and senile, about the soil here on the property. And again, this used to be a farm once upon a time, and there were questions asked about why I'm doing what I'm doing, maybe with the ground, or what does my soil actually look like. And if you've gone back and watched a lot of my earlier videos, especially from last year, you could see me digging up plugs of soil. The soil here isn't loose, it isn't fluffy, it is compact, it is clay-like, it's horrible. So let me pull up a bit of dirt, a plug of dirt from the flower bed extension, which I have yet to do. That's going to be a future video, so be sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified when I do post up that video. But let me pull up a plug of dirt to show you what I'm looking at. All right, so in this spot right here, you can see It's very, I have to break it apart with my hands, and if I squeeze it, it doesn't fall apart. Again, this is where the clay-like comes in. Now, this portion right here is pretty good. And again, I do have some topsoil, but it's all very much compacted, and I have to cut into it. And then you can see as you're getting lower into the ground, the topsoil, the good-ish part, starts to fade away. Let me dig a little deeper for you. That's about 6 inches. Oh. And then here's a good example where it starts to go tan. And again, this isn't, it's very sticky. Again, like clay. It may be a little more sand, but it doesn't, you know, it's sticky. It's again, like clay. Maybe it's very silty. I'm not a soil expert. I don't pretend to be one. I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. In all fairness, it did rain 2 days ago. But if I came back in a week and I did this, it would be the same thing, because the water tends to sit in that clay-like soil and not go away. It's not horrible. There's a lot of, I'm sure, mineral goodness in it. There are earthworms in it. I just saw one as I was digging around. It's not loose and fluffy, and it doesn't provide good drainage. And that is necessary for pretty much 99% of the plants that you plant out there. So there you go. So you see how, again, the soil is clay-like. And I was watching another YouTuber, and if I remember, I'll post it up right here. Otherwise, it's a young lady in Ohio, I believe, and she also is now gardening on what used to be a farm. And she brought something to my attention I never even thought about. Yes, this was a farm. Yes, it was tilled up. What's it tilled up by? Oh, wait, large, heavy tractors. So over years and years and decades and decades and decades of the ground being tilled up, of the nutrients being basically sucked out of the soil by all the corn or those beans or whatever, tobacco, whatever they were growing here, by the heavy machinery rolling over it and compacting everything again. And sure, that's why that's one of the reasons that farmers have to till up that ground, is because they've been rolling over it with a 10-ton vehicle. Maybe not 10-ton, but a large, heavy vehicle. So it gets compacted. So you need to till that up so that when we as gardeners, home gardeners, when we plant seedlings, we try to plant them in a loose, fine material, not a heavy wood chip compost. We try to, something fine so that they grow up and they don't have to struggle through heavy material. Out in your commercial farms, that's not an option, so the fields just get tilled up as best as they can. They put down the seeds come up because Mother Nature will do what Mother Nature wants to do, and Bob's your uncle. But again, with all those years of the property being handled the way it was handled, we now have this heavy clay-like soil. And I'm trying to slowly but surely improve that as I go along. For me to take the whole property and, again, make it beautiful or the soil looser and fluffier, I'd have to run tractors with tillers, and I'm never resolving that problem that's 8 to 12 inches down, which is, again, where most of the compactation is. And the least amount of mineral, well, there may be a lot of minerals, but again, there's all your goodness is in that top layer of topsoil. But there are earthworms in the soil, and I know there's minerals in the soil. What I need to do is just sort of get those earthworms to start working all of the good material that I'm putting in, the compost. Fully over time, I will go from having just a little bit of diggable soil to much deeper things. There's been a lot of studies in the past 10 to 20 years, however long it's been, about soil health and soil management, and the soil is actually alive. There's all sorts of microbes, and we know about earthworms, and there's beetles, and there's ants, and there's all sorts of stuff that's running around in the soil that we don't even see most of the time. And that provides the soil health. And now when you turn around and till it all up, you're damaging it. You may even be killing it. When you put down chemicals, you're definitely killing anything that's in there. And that then can impact the growth of your plants. So by me putting down the cardboard, that will kill the grass. The grass rots down. It provides organic matter, right? into the soil. The earthworms, they love it. They're all running around. They'll eat the cardboard. Earthworms, actually, if you've seen like models, those like half glass cut things, terrariums, I guess, and they have the earthworms in there and they start dumping cardboard and citrus and all sorts of stuff into there. The earthworms eat it all. And then they run around, they go up and down and up through the soil. And along the way they're pooping, and that poop is very nutritional, and that's also good. And then you get fungus and all sorts of other stuff that grows, and then you get healthy soil after a few years. That's my hope. That's what I'm trying to go for. It's going to take years for the soil to get to the point where I can stick my shovel into any of the beds that I'm preparing, and then without having to dig out a plug, just pull up a nice shovel full of dirt. That's going to take years. But in the meantime, I can start working or preparing the soil. I think I've prattled on enough. So today we're going to be planting some of the dahlias in the beds. So here we are and at the bed, and I just want to show you real quick. Underneath the few inches of compost here is the cardboard, and it's a rock. And I don't know if you could see that, but already it's getting pretty soft. You can see it start tearing there. And that's because on Monday we had quite a bit of rain. So you give it a few more weeks and this cardboard will be well on its way to rotting down. Again, I'm not going to be planting the dahlias up against the cardboard. There'll be a couple inches of soil, and basically I'm making right now just little mounds. And what I hope is that eventually, once the cardboard rots down and the earthworms start moving through the space, is that the soil, we should see the soil start to go down a bit, and that's because the earthworms will be pulling this good compost down into the ground, and we'll go from having beds that are basically sitting on top of the ground about 3 inches to beds that will be several inches deep. Now I'm going to start planting with this, which is not a dahlia, but it is in fact a sprinter boxwood. Again, I'm going to have the edges of the beds lined with boxwood. I've ordered 4. One will go in each corner and another one will be going into the rose garden. And they are small, but sprinters grow pretty quick. And I'm hopeful that in time they, they'll just fill right in. Whoops. Ooh, this one's got all its roots right on the bottom. So you can tease those out. There we go. That, like that. All right, backfill you, add a little bit more compost around you. There we go. All right. And so the depth of the hedges, eventually that's what I want, is a row of hedges, is going to be about 2 foot, and they'll overhang one side hopefully, and it'll come in this way, which means I'm going to have to start my planting from here on over. And I'm going to start the dahlias with, not inflammation. Where is the other one? Oh, here we go. The reason I'm not starting with inflammation, I'm not even in screen right now, inflammation is because it's 18 inches tall. So it's going to be a little taller, so it'll be a little towards the back. This right here is going to be the interior of the flower garden, and that over there is going to be the grand walkway. And again, there'll be a hedgerow there, and there'll be a hedgerow there, and you walk into the flower garden, you can look over, and you can see all these beautiful dahlias. So, the first one I'm going to plant up is baby yellow. And as its name implies, baby yellow is a small dahlia, I think. So, because it's low in height, which again, I believe is correct. Now, this one was one of my ones from last year. And I'm just going to gently pry them up. And here we can see we got a tuber. We've got a little head on it. It's very small. It will only get bigger as the season goes on. And I'm just going to pop you right in there. Again, just a couple inches of soil right on top of it and a couple inches of soil underneath it, and it's good to go. Now, baby yellow, I don't need to stake because, again, I think it only gets to about 6 to 12 inches. It's not a very tall plant. Now, the baby yellow that I had one plant, and from that one plant, I was able to divide and break apart, and I was able to get, looks like, about 3, and they're all viable. But I've got a good healthy tuber, I've got good healthy roots. That one is going to go right next to it. You know what? Actually, I want that one a little behind it. There we go. And the last one. Oh yeah. Oh my goodness, look at the roots on this one. That's crazy. Tuck these roots in, tuck this right in. There you go. 3 baby dahlias, baby yellow dahlias planted. Now, as I said, the next one I'm going to plant up is inflammation. That will go behind it because it gets to about 18 inches tall, and those I will stake. So we've got the 3 right there. I need to leave room over here, so I think I'll put the first one, oops, here. Now I'm pushing down through the cardboard into the ground below, and this way it's good and firm. Now I am planting these a little closer to the baby yellows, and that may be a mistake. I may have to move them, but that's okay. I can always move these when they go dormant. And right now we can see that this tuber is pretty small. So we're going to get that right in there. There we go. Yeah, actually I want to move it a little closer to the stake. There we go. And this way, as it grows up, I can attach it to the stake and it won't be flopping around with the winds. I think that's pretty obvious. I will take one of the plastic tags temporarily, stick it there until I come up with a better tagging system. Gently try to pull up. There we go. Get a nice healthy root. And we're just gonna put that back in there, again close to the stake. And there's inflammation. And probably within a few weeks I'll be tying them up. So I've got the 3 baby yellows, got 2 inflammations. There's a few more I want to do. Now the next ones I'm doing are the names I can't pronounce. And I believe I have 2 of them. So I'm going to plant them here. Now these get to about, if I remember correctly, 4 foot, I believe. If I'm wrong, well, I can always move them. And again, these are the name I can't pronounce correctly, so I'm not going to try. They're beautiful, beautiful white dahlia. And I believe I only have 2 of them. So let's see, we're going to make a hole for the first one. It's the same premise. I'm just making a hole, leaving maybe an inch or 2 of, try to be gentle when you take these things up. I don't know if you can see that dahlia ball. And I see one eye. And of course we have the green stem here. This is fine. Plant this up right now. And she'll grow. And again, I can tie it up. Now this stake that I used here is rebar. And it's something I'm trying this year, as opposed to the traditional cheap aluminum that's hollow with the plastic coating. I'm going to try rebar, and I'm going to try different heights of rebar as well, and different thicknesses. I believe this is 3/8, which should work for the mid-range or mid-sized dahlias. And then we'll be using 6 foot. Cover that guy up. There we go. Tease this guy out. Oop. Oh, I feel some rot in here. So let's remove the rotted tuber. Oh, that's gushy. Okay. That's bad. All right. So I still have, this dahlia is still viable. It's just one of the tubers rotted on me, but you can see there's still growth. So we're gonna get rid of the rotted tuber. I'll throw it off camera. I'm going to plant this up, and I'm going to hope for the best. There's no guarantee that this guy will now grow healthy and successfully, but he is throwing on some green growth, so we'll take, oh wait, there's another big old rotted tuber. Must have broken off the other one. Obviously, give the plants a good water. Cover with mulch. All right, so that's it for today. It was just starting to plant up the new dahlia bed. And as time goes on, I'll be planting more and more of my dahlias that are in the greenhouse out into this bed. And hopefully, who knows, maybe this year or early next year, I'll have the bed fully filled with dahlias. I do have a lot of dahlias, but there's a lot of space in this bed. And I also like to try to plant the dahlias as close as possible, but not too close to each other. And the reason being is that as they get larger and their leaves grow out, hopefully that'll act as a natural weed suppressant. Maybe, possibly. We'll have to see. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Click that bell icon to be notified of when I do post up a new video so you can follow along, see how the dahlias are growing and what else is going on. There's a flower bed down there that's just begging to be finished. That may come next week. We'll have to wait and see. And I do have a lot of flowers that I need to start planting into that bed. There are going to be more flowers going up into the crater mound area, and there's more flowers that I've slowly been putting into the front of the house beds. I will also be turning around and putting up pictures on a regular basis once these guys start flowering on Instagram. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, give a follow on Instagram. If you have any questions, comments, etc., please leave them below. I'm always open to suggestions or anything else anybody has to say. Please leave those comments, and I'm going to catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.